I'm gonna go over every bad decision made in Five Nights at Freddy's and explain what I would have done differently. We start with Bob, the security guard in the office. We can see that he boarded up the door, so he's not entirely stupid so far, but the animatronics are pushing through, and so he goes through the vent, which leads him to the storage room, where he drops his flashlight for no reason and runs towards the exit door, but it's locked, and Foxy dum-dum and runs at this man, knocking him out. Truthfully, Bob did pretty much everything right in the beginning. While he could have stayed in the office longer and just kept barricading, trying to exit was the smarter decision, but he then dropped his flashlight, which if you didn't know, stuns Foxy. While he obviously could not have known that, if he just brought his flashlight, he would have stunned him by accident. I know that's not a fair critique on his mistake, I just thought it was interesting that this man could have accidentally done some FNAF game tech. Without the flashlight though, there is still a way to not allow Foxy to knock you out. Upon realizing the door is locked, it took Foxy a total of 15 seconds to attack him. If he took this time to turn around and create a plan, he could have survived. Here are two plans he could have came up with. First plan, run around Foxy really fast and also crouch next to him since he probably is going to swing his hook for your top half, then just book it and find another escape. Second plan, jump out of the way just in time, baiting Foxy into slamming into the door, possibly opening it, and then escaping while Foxy knocks himself out. Unfortunately, Bob did not do this, so he is now sitting in the torture Freddy chair, moments away from his face being cut into. He is actually clever enough here to realize he can twist off this bolt, but Bob is panicking and spends way too much time looking at the Freddy head instead of focusing purely on twisting this bolt, which leads to his death. This scene is pretty self-explanatory and done perfectly by Mike later in the movie. He stays calm and focuses purely on survival and not the Freddy head. There's no real guaranteed survival here, just gotta hope you realize there's a bolt and stay calm, cool, and collected. Probably a 70% survival chance if you're calm. While there aren't any real dangerous mistakes for a while after this, there is technically a mistake that Mike made that was pretty much the cause for all the danger he's going to get into. If Mike never punched that dude at the mall, he would have never had to get the job at Freddy's. While Mike does have trauma and it was a misunderstanding, he could have maybe shoved the guy a little and asked, "Hey, is this your little kid?" Or asked the kid, "Hey, is this your dad?" If the guy decides now to hit Mike, then he can beat him up and it will be self-defense. This situation could have been handled much better and in a way that didn't make him get fired. But Mike got the job at Freddy's, and his aunt does not like that very much. So her friend Jeff brings his group of homies to Freddy Fazbear's to trash the place so they can blame it on Mike and get him fired. They instantly split up, and we see Carl first, who is in the kitchen. He hears a strange noise coming from the refrigerator of, by the way, an abandoned place. So he decides he wants to check that out. While he couldn't know that a robot cupcake would be in it, in the real world, there would have definitely been a wild animal in here, and I just don't see the reasoning in checking that out. I would have definitely ignored this. But Carl is Curious George, and after opening it and seeing a literal cupcake blink at him, he doesn't realize this isn't normal until the cupcake disappears, and he turns around to see a big ol' yellow 6'4" Chica animatronic staring at him. Carl then spends 6 seconds staring at the big ol' animatronic. If I was staring down a 6'4" animatronic, I would instantly run. Not to mention, Carl is right next to where they entered, meaning all he would have to do is run around the table like this and then just run outside. Also, as we see later in the movie, Mike had no problem flinging this cupcake off his leg. So instead of Carl just smacking the cupcake, which he does right here, he could have probably yanked it off his head and then just ran the route that I said. We then go to Hank, who ends up seeing this happening to Carl. So he now has confirmation early on that this place is dangerous. So he runs, which is smart, but he runs to the dumbest place he could have possibly ran to, a closet. Look, Hank was in the main room, which is home to literally 2 exit doors, which by the way, not one single person in this entire movie ever tried to leave through these doors. Now you may be saying,
"Oh, well maybe those doors would be locked like the other doors."
Maybe, but the front door is made out of glass, meaning you could grab this pole right here and then smash the front door and escape easily. Smartest thing you could do, and not one person ever thought of it. Hank definitely did not, and now he is trapped in a closet with Bonnie. This situation is pretty bad, and there is a very slim survival chance, especially because Bonnie somehow locked the door, so there's no escaping. But you best believe if I was here, I would not go down without a fight. There is so much in this closet that could be used to attack Bonnie. I would grab anything close to me and just start throwing it at Bonnie, especially these shelves. You get one of these down and you definitely are saving yourself some time. Also, Jeff is right outside the door, so if you buy yourself more time, Jeff could possibly help. Regardless though, going in this closet was just dumb. Now we go to Jeff. He sees Hank's blood splat all over the door, along with Bonnie greeting him very kindly. So he drops what could have been a weapon and runs towards the security office, trapping himself just like Bob from earlier. And we know how that went. And it went the exact same way here actually. Door don't open, Foxy get him. Jeff's first mistake was dropping his crowbar. It wouldn't have guaranteed survival, but I think it would have helped. If he had his crowbar, I think upon seeing Foxy, he could have ran to the side of Foxy full speed and slammed him with the crowbar. I'm not entirely sure if that would affect Foxy, but I think it would have been worth a try. More simply though, and more realistic, he should have kept his crowbar for some sort of weapon and not ran into a dead-end security office. He should have ran to where they entered. That's a guaranteed exit spot. But it is like a 5v1 at this point, so it's highly unlikely he would have been able to escape in time. Lastly, Maxine finally enters to check in on everyone. And this woman is probably the silliest out of the entire group. She gets inside and doesn't hear a peep from any of her friends, but she sees this kid who says, "Follow me," and she doesn't question this, just follows a random kid in an abandoned building. I get wanting to check if a kid is safe, but realistically, a kid who is stuck in an abandoned building would be scared and come to you crying, say, "Please, I lost my mommy, ah." This is just a big old warning sign, and Maxine is blind to that. Now, if that wasn't dumb enough, the kid starts saying, "Warmer, warmer," from inside Freddy. So she wants to find this kid for some reason and decides to put her face in front of Freddy, and Freddy chops her in half. This death has got to be the most preventable. Why are you even looking inside a robot? Not to mention there's no sight of your friends. She didn't even truly question what she was doing. She was here looking for her friends and just roped herself in some random side quest for no reason. I think the only reason this woman died was because they wanted to have that bite of 87 type gag. This would have never happened. I can't imagine anyone is this dumb. Since Maxine is dead now, she can't babysit Abby, so Mike has no choice but to take Abby to work. Now, Mike got confirmation earlier that he can be hurt at Freddy's while dreaming, so you would think now that he has Abby here with him, he wouldn't risk sleeping. Not to mention, this is an abandoned place where anyone can come and hurt her, but guess what? He sleeps. He just goes to bed, leaving Abby unsupervised and able to roam free and possibly be hurt. Also, Abby ignoring Mike and just free roaming was also really dumb, but she gets lucky because the animatronics are actually kids and they like her, so I guess that's good, except for in the end when they try to like stuff her in an animatronic. But you know, still don't think Mike should have slept though. Mike does wake up and he realizes Abby is not in the room, and he hears her screaming and sees all the animatronics surrounding her. He instantly reacts by grabbing a chair and going head to head with Freddy Fazbear, the 6-foot Chad Bear, but he doesn't have to actually fight him because, like I said, Abby made friends with them. Now, while this isn't really a mistake, I do think it's funny though that this is the only person so far that genuinely was about to fight an animatronic. And while it's a very low percentage of him actually beating Freddy, it's better than dropping your crowbar or just looking Bonnie in the face. The next mistake is when Mike goes back to the pizzeria and takes sleeping pills to try to see if he can find his brother's killer again. But in this dream, instead of his brother being taken in the van, he is actually there as if he never got captured. The kids then use this dream and some gaslighting techniques to trick Mike into giving them Abby. He then instantly regrets his decision, but it's quite literally too late. Now, this mistake obviously puts Abby in huge danger. Because of this deal, Mike just gave them permission to make Abby an animatronic. It's hard to put yourself in the shoes of Mike here, but you should never make such a big decision so fast. He should have definitely spent way more time thinking about this instead of making a decision off feelings and impulse. Also, because of Mike's sleeping pills and him sleeping like a rock, somehow an animatronic carries him all the way to the torture Freddy chair and he doesn't wake up until he's face to face with a Freddy mask. As I said earlier, he handles this situation perfectly and he escapes. Exactly what I would have done. Probably faster, but you know. He then goes to the exit door, but of course, as always, the door's locked and Foxy runs at him. Luckily, he has plot armor and the door opens at the last second because Vanessa somehow was out there and saves him. I won't talk too much about this mistake because I already covered it in the earlier Foxy running sequence. While this was happening, Abby was chilling in her room and heard a thud. She goes to check what happened and she sees Golden Freddy and he tells her they are all waiting for her, so she packs her bags and leaves with him. The only dumb mistake here is that it's pretty obvious Golden Freddy killed Aunt Jane. He tries covering it up by saying,
"Silly Aunt Jane, she fell asleep,"
in the fakest tone I've ever heard. Anyone could tell he's lying. Not to mention, no one goes to sleep face down on on the floor. Also, there was a literal thud. If I noticed this, I would not leave with no golden Freddy. I don't care if he's my friend, he's a murderer. Now either Abby knows and doesn't care because she hates Aunt Jane, or she is very dumb. Abby gets to Fazbear's and she enters without golden Freddy. Also, the animatronics are acting very weird and not normal. Sadly, Abby trusts them fully here, but she should have been able to read the room and realize these are not the kids. They are being controlled now. Obviously, that's really hard to realize though, I'm aware. Anyways, we go back to Mike, who smartly asks Vanessa for advice, and she gives him a taser because it can stun the animatronics. Would have definitely been nice to know this before, but as we know, Vanessa is kind of an op. So much in this movie would have been preventable if Vanessa just told them things beforehand. At least she told him this, along with telling him a secret way inside to not be spotted. So he goes in through this vent and decides to come out the vent into the main room. And even though Bonnie literally spots him, he isn't able to alert Freddy in time. So Mike is able to pour water all over the stage and electrocute them. Honestly, genius. This surprised me. After this, we see Abby walking to a mysterious room with Chica. It's pretty obvious this isn't Chica 2. She is acting quiet and has no emotion. This is not the same fun Chica that made a pillow fort with her. And Chica tries to put Abby into Ella to make her into an animatronic. While Abby should have ran at the signs, it's hard to say that because she trusts them up to this point. They are her friends. Mike hears her screams and is able to save her in time, which is great. But you know what's not great? As they are running together, Cupcake chomps down on Mike's leg and he tells her to run while he fights off Cupcake. If this was a different horror movie, I'd say yes, Mike, good job, heroic action, super noble. But this is an entirely different situation. Mike should know firsthand that trying to escape here ends with the locked door and Foxy running at you. Also, if you try doing my front door break the glass thing, Springtrap's chilling there. Abby would have been 100% more safe with Mike because he has the only weapon that can stop the animatronics. Also, in the next scene, Mike easily kicks off Cupcake like it's nothing. Why couldn't he have done that instantly? Them splitting up was really dumb. To give proof that it's dumb, if it wasn't for Vanessa caring and facing her trauma head on and coming to Freddy's, Abby would have been captured by Foxy. And if she got captured, then everyone kind of just dies. Anyways, like I said, Mike fought off Cupcake and he runs to find Abby, but instead finds Mr. William Afton Springtrap and he tries tasering him, but this isn't an actual animatronic, so it doesn't affect him. And Springtrap runs at him and throws Mike across the room. Not really much he could have done here, I'm gonna be honest. The last mistake is done by Abby. While yes, she makes the drawing to save the day, she genuinely takes her sweet time, and because of this, Vanessa got stabbed. It took her, and I kid you not, 30 seconds to put the drawing on the wall. She practically just stared at the wall. That was really dumb. But regardless, she did save the day. Also, a little bonus how I'd survive. If I was William Afton here, instead of monologuing, I would have just went ham on everyone, killed everyone, and took advantage of the fact I could control the animatronics. He never really used them to help him at all. He definitely could have survived this easily, but he had to become Springtrap, obviously. And that's how you survive Five Nights at Freddy's. So if you're ever in Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria, watch this video and you should probably survive. Thank you so much, bye.